Hello everybody, this is Carlos from the Florida Cannabis Coalition and welcome to our live broadcast. We're calling this broadcast Can I Talk About It? Canna Talk About It, excuse me. And there's a few things that I want to discuss with you guys. First off, apparently this past week, like 2 days ago, the media was running reports about a dispensary that was raided in the Orange Park area, and there's a lot of controversy over this stuff. You guys can check out Florida Cannabis Coalition.com. We've got a lot of good content on that site. We posted an article about this very topic recently, actually this morning. And the thing about this place was first called the CBD Dispensary, and the thing about that is that it was just the place's name. It wasn't really anything to really do with medical marijuana, yet the media kept on saying that this was the first medical marijuana dispensary raid. What happened was this gentleman opened up a business, called it the CBD Dispensary, and only sold hemp products from that location. And the police came, bought some brownies off of the location, and basically, let me make sure that, basically found out that there were trace elements of THC in these brownies, and went back and shut down the business. Now, nobody was arrested, but charges were filed, and the gentleman who owns this so-called dispensary was placed under, is facing charges. He's facing some time, and all of his property was seized for the business. Now, first thing that comes to my mind is Patrick Nichols lives down the road from there. Did you see any of the police outside the location or anything like that? No? Okay. So, the gentleman who ran this dispensary, claimed that they're all hemp products. Two questions come to mind. First off, is this really a dispensary? I mean, this guy was selling hemp products, so I mean that's basically a it's a way for like Whole Foods could be considered a dispensary in this case. And the next thing that I want to discuss is really, did the cops have the right to go in there? They claim that they got tipped off that they were selling THC products, and I mean, apparently they were right. I'm not sure. I don't know about any of the tests that the cops did. Cops do lie sometimes. This is nothing that I'm, unaware of. But, yeah. So, I mean, that's food for thought. I mean, did we really have our first dispensary raid or not? Next thing I want to talk about is these moratoriums that are being put down on, different cities and counties, putting them down against Amendment 2. Two things I want to clear up. First off, a moratorium does not mean that they're banning dispensaries. What that means is that they want a little bit more time to check out the rules. That actually kind of means that they want dispensaries there, and they want to do them right. Does this mean that, patients are going to wait a little bit longer? Yes, and that's the unfortunate part. But, you got to make sure that, you put down these regulations right. One thing that I don't agree with is, the way Hillsborough County put down their moratorium is about the right way. You see, Hillsborough County allowed for a few dispensaries, and the existing dispensaries that are up there with the CBD Act can actually deliver into Hillsborough County, but they want a couple more months before they let any more dispensaries in, so they can figure out the rules and where they want them and whatnot. What I disagree with, though, is the Zephyr Hills dispensary moratorium. Now, the Zephyr Hills moratorium was requested by City Attorney Matthew Maggard. And Matthew Maggard basically said that there's uncertainty facing Zephyr Hills regarding the medical marijuana dispensaries and the need to investigate how to regulate these dispensaries. Now, the uncertainty about these dispensaries, he thinks all hell is going to break loose because Amendment 2 got passed. So, oh yes, Neptune Beach did put down a ban. I didn't realize that it was for 3 years, which is absolutely outrageous. We need more medical cannabis doctors in South Florida. I need help. And there are no doctors down here. There are plenty of doctors down there, actually. I actually know a few doctors in South Florida that I recommend. Feel free to email me at carlos@infinitemages.com, and I will send you the list. But you can get that list off of the Health Department's Office of Compassionate Use website. Now, these moratoriums that are being placed does not necessarily mean that they're going to be banning dispensaries. That means that they kind of just want to make sure that they do it right. So, is it a bad thing? Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of a bad and a good thing at the same time. They just want to make sure that they're ready for this business when it comes. It's a bad thing in the way that patients are still going to suffer, and, that's a horrible thing. But, cities are going crazy about this stuff, and they're really afraid of what's going to happen. And honestly, their fears are unwarranted, but their fears are still, there. Marijuana is a safe substance. The next thing I want to talk about is Amendment 2 going into effect on January 3rd. Now, if you go to the Health Department's Office of Compassionate Use website, and I'll actually pull it up and show you off of my phone. Now it's getting pulled up here, and you see this is the URL right there. And it says Amendment 2 and the expanded qualifying medical conditions will become effective on January 3rd of 2017. Now, why that is so interesting is because Amendment 2 actually has a bit of a schedule for implementing their regulations. Now, on January 3rd of 2017 is actually the first day that the health department has to actually start figuring out what the regulations are going to be like. So this is when they're actually going to get started. So this is why it's so weird that they're saying that it's going to come into effect on January 3rd. They have until June 3rd. That is their deadline to get the regulations down and implement Amendment 2. They have 6 months after January 3rd. So, we don't know what it's going to be like for people who want licensing for a dispensary. And we don't know what it's going to be like for people who want to grow. We don't know how much it's going to cost and things like that. But we do know who can get it. Richard White, we do know who can get it. And those are people with qualifying medical conditions, and the expanded medical qualifying conditions. So that's listed in the amendment. That's Crohn's, that's AIDS, that's HIV, that's all those different things. But we do know that it's going to expand the types of cannabis that you can get. It's no longer going to be high CBD cannabis. What we don't know is how they're actually going to bring this into effect. Now, one would assume that since they have a couple of dispensaries already up and running in Florida, one of which being here in Tampa, right by USF actually, we would assume that those dispensaries would start distributing cannabis to people with recommendations for the qualifying medical conditions under Amendment 2. But we're not sure. We're kind of in the dark. All we have is this one line on the health department's website. So stay tuned for updates. Become a member of the Florida Cannabis. Go to floridacannabiscoalition.com and become a member of our group. That's what we do. We keep people informed. You would get information, about all of this stuff and live updates and things like that. Check out our workshops. Our workshops are pretty cool. Everything from grow room design to bud tending to dispensary management and whatnot. Check them out. They're very, very informative. Even cultivation. Our cultivation class is very scientific. So check all that out. Get informed. Join the cannabis industry. What are the guidelines for caregivers? And if you, RT, have a Stabley, Schlomann's, and other states, will that come into effect here? I don't understand what you're talking about, but the guidelines for caregivers are not put into effect yet. Those have not been figured out. All we know is that the health department is supposed to start putting these regulations down as far as January 3rd. And all we know is that the health department also put on their website that the expanded qualifying medical conditions will go into effect as far as January 3rd. So we have to wait and see. So check out FloridaCannabisCoalition.com. Become a member. Oh, my bad, man. I was misspelling. What I'm saying is, if you own other establishments in other states and you also have a home down here, what are the guidelines going to be? I'm sorry, bud, but if you're listening, we only have the guidelines we only know that the health department is going to start writing those guidelines on January 3rd. We also know that they have put up on their website that the expanding qualifying medical conditions will become effective on January 3rd. That's all we know. We don't know what it's going to look like for caregivers, growers, dispensaries, anything like that. And that's what we do at the Florida Cannabis Coalition. We keep you informed and things like that. So, Jonathan, you would probably want to become a member of the Florida Cannabis Coalition. You can get updates on all of those things going on and all those questions that you have. The upcoming grow room design, is that more for people who want to cultivate their own medical cannabis? That absolutely is. What the grow room design class is, it's actually more of a math class. It looks at this space and shows you how to figure out, what type of wattage your lights need to be, how many lights you need, what cooling system you need for your lights, if you're going to supplement CO2, what system you would use, if you're going to do an open loop or a closed loop system, all of these different things. But they're not going to allow, like Michigan, where you're allowed to grow 12 plants if you were just a patient, correct? Well, honestly, Michigan didn't always allow you to grow 12 plants. That's the thing. People don't understand how politics work in this state. Obviously, because most of us voted for Trump as well as for medical marijuana. So, what's going to happen, Jonathan, is these rules and regulations are going to open up. As a matter of fact, there's already a couple of organizations fighting for that and petitioning for that. Already, they were even petitioning before the November 8th vote this year. These regulations are Regulate Florida. These organizations are Regulate Florida and Floridians for Freedom. They're both petitioning for adult use, and they both have amendments that would allow for home cultivation. So maybe it won't happen this year, but we're definitely going to start dispensing cannabis right now, and actually cultivators would become a profession in the state of Florida. And in 2 years, you might even be able to grow it inside your own home. So progression happens, man. It's, and what's to stop the legislator or the health department from writing in something that would allow for home cultivation? That's the thing. You need to get involved in politics. You need to join organizations like normal, and you got to join organizations like the Florida Cannabis Coalition so you can have your voices heard and show your voice and strength in numbers. So do that. Become a member of the Florida Cannabis Coalition. Join Central Florida Normal. Join Normal of Florida, and go for that. Go for it. Start working for that. Okay, guys. This is Carlos from the Florida Cannabis Coalition. Become a member. Sign up from our workshops. The website's FloridaCannabisCoalition.com, and I will see you guys later.